A man is sitting alone in a farmhouse on the Sandringham estate. He's in his dressing gown. He answers the door for his weekly supermarket delivery. That is the entirety of his public life now. But behind that closed door, sources say he is seething. He is furious. He is making demands. He is threatening to unleash something that could shake the British monarchy to its foundation. And here is the part that should make your jaw drop. He is reportedly demanding £558,000 from King Charles, his own brother, as compensation for being evicted from his home. And sources say he has told those around him if he doesn't get what he wants, he will go nuclear. What does going nuclear mean for a man who spent decades at the center of the British royal family? What secrets is he sitting on? And why are insiders describing him as, and I'm quoting directly here, the epitome of a nightmare for the royal family as a whole? That is exactly what we're going to answer today. I'm your host. This is Crown Gaze, and today we go inside the most dangerous man the British monarchy has ever tried to contain. To understand what is happening right now, you need to understand how far this man has fallen. Not so long ago, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was Prince Andrew, Duke of York, the second son of Queen Elizabeth II, a naval officer who served in the Falklands War, a man who traveled the world on behalf of the British Crown as its special representative for international trade and investment. He was protected, he was titled, he was untouchable. Then the Jeffrey Epstein files began to unspool, and everything changed. Epstein was a convicted who had trafficked underage girls to some of the most powerful men on the planet. And Andrew, it emerged, was not a casual acquaintance. He was a close friend. There were photographs, there were flight logs, there was a disastrous BBC Newsnight interview in 2019 where Andrew tried to explain away everything and instead destroyed whatever credibility he had left. He stepped back from public duties. Then came Virginia Giuffre, who alleged that Epstein had trafficked her to Andrew when she was 17 years old. Andrew denied it, but in 2022, he quietly settled her lawsuit for a sum reported at around $16 million. Virginia Giuffre died by suicide in 2025, but the case against Andrew did not die with her, because then came the Epstein Files Transparency Act, new documents, new emails, new evidence released by the United States Justice Department. And what those files revealed was staggering. Emails appear to show Andrew forwarding confidential government trade reports to Epstein during his time as the UK's trade envoy. Communications suggesting a relationship that went far deeper than Andrew had ever admitted. King Charles moved swiftly. In October 2025, he formally stripped his brother of every royal title. No more Prince, no more His Royal Highness, no more Duke of York. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. That is all he is now. And then came the eviction. Royal Lodge, the sprawling Windsor estate mansion where Andrew had lived since 2004, where he and Sarah Ferguson, his ex-wife, had shared a home despite being divorced for decades, was handed back. He was moved to a smaller property on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. 2 weeks later, on his 66th birthday, February 19th, 2026, unmarked police cars arrived at his door. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was arrested. He was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, released 11 hours later under investigation. Not charged, not cleared. Hanging. That moment, that photograph of him hunched in the back seat of a car, leaving the police station, distressed, disheveled, became one of the most iconic images in modern royal history. It was supposed to break him. It didn't. Because here is what sources are now saying. Andrew is not broken. Andrew is furious. And a furious Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, a man who spent decades inside the machine, who knows where everybody is buried, is something the palace cannot afford to ignore. According to new insider accounts published this week, Andrew is seething and hellbent on revenge. One source used the phrase, "Make no mistake, this is a man who's hellbent on revenge and with nothing much much left to lose. Let that sink in. Nothing left to lose. Now here is the specific threat that has set alarm bells ringing inside the palace. Sources say Andrew is seeking compensation of up to £558,000 from the crown. This is based on his original Royal Lodge lease terms. He was evicted, he believes, in violation of those terms, and he wants to be paid for it. But that is not the nuclear option. The nuclear option is the threat behind the demand. Insiders say Andrew has told those around him that if the palace does not meet his terms, he will escalate. In the language of someone who has spent a lifetime inside royal circles, escalate means one thing: he starts talking. He starts giving interviews. He cooperates with investigators. He writes a book. He goes to the press. He tells the world everything he knows. Think about what that could mean. This is a man who was at the center of British royal life for 50 years. He was present for conversations that never left the room. He knows how decisions were made, who said what was buried, and why. The palace has carefully managed its narrative for decades. Andrew threatens all of that. And here's the detail that sources say is driving Charles and William to the edge. Andrew reportedly believes that Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, the future queen, was the architect of his downfall inside the family. According to multiple recent reports, Kate was the first member of the family to freeze Andrew out. She stopped speaking to him at family events after the Epstein revelations. She barred him from attending her Christmas concert. And according to author Christopher Anderson, who has written extensively about the palace, it was William and Kate who actively pressured Charles to strip Andrew of his titles. Andrew knows this, and Andrew is angry about it. Sources say he is obsessed with retaliating against William and Kate for what he sees as their role in his exile. One insider told the National Examiner he's a very bitter and angry man right now. Instead of making an effort to pick up the pieces, he's become obsessed with trying to ruin the people he sees as the architects of his downfall. Here is why this matters beyond palace gossip. Here is why every single person who cares about the British monarchy should be paying close attention. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor is still under criminal investigation. He has not been charged. He has not been cleared. The investigation into whether he shared confidential government documents with a convicted is still open, and that investigation carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. That is the context in which he is making threats. A man facing potential criminal prosecution. A man who knows the investigation could widen. Police are now looking into additional allegations, including claims he acted inappropriately toward a waitress at a Royal Ascot event in 2002. A man with no home of his own, no title, no role, no income source that we can identify, and a lifestyle that still requires significant financial support. This is not a man with nothing to say. This is a man with everything to say, and no remaining reason to stay quiet. The last time a senior royal threatened to speak openly against the institution, the results were catastrophic. When Harry and Meghan gave their interview to Oprah Winfrey in 2021, it triggered a constitutional crisis. That interview was two people talking about feeling unwelcome. Andrew is not talking about feeling unwelcome. Andrew is talking about the inner workings of the royal machine for 50 years, about business deals with oligarchs, about what he knew of Epstein and when, about conversations in rooms where no one else was present, about decisions made at the very highest levels of the crown. And there is something else the palace cannot ignore. Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, the mother of his daughters, the woman who shared his home until last month, is also under pressure. A U.S. congressman has formally requested that she testify about her Epstein connections. She has vowed she will never set foot in the United States again. She is hiding in Austria. She is reported to be desperate, frightened, and reportedly in discussions about a major book deal of her own. Two people, both sitting on the same secrets, both with nothing left to protect. The palace is running the math on what happens if either of them starts talking, and the answer is keeping Charles awake at night. But there is a piece of this story that almost nobody is talking about. The narrative everyone has settled on is simple. Andrew is the villain. He associated with Epstein. He shared state secrets. He abused his position, and now he is getting what he deserves. That narrative is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Here is what the story looks like from Andrew's side of the door. He believes, and sources are very clear on this, that King Charles has deliberately engineered not just his personal downfall, but the erasure of the entire York branch of the family. Not just Andrew, his daughters too. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have been systematically sidelined from royal duties. Their homes are under scrutiny. A National Audit Office report published this month confirmed that Beatrice has never personally paid rent on any royal property she has lived in. And suddenly, that fact is all over the press.
Andrew sees a pattern. He sees Charles using the Epstein scandal as cover to do something he may have wanted to do for a long time: consolidate the monarchy around William's line and quietly eliminate the York branch as a serious force in royal life. Is he right? That is something only those inside the palace know for certain. But here is the thing that makes this claim harder to dismiss than it might seem. Charles did not simply strip Andrew of his titles when the scandal exploded. He waited, he watched, and then, when the moment was perfect, when public opinion was so firmly against Andrew that no one could accuse the king of acting unfairly, he moved quickly, decisively. Royal Lodge was reclaimed. The titles were removed. The arrest was not prevented. A public statement was issued, almost unprecedented, with the words, "Let me state clearly, the law must take its course." Charles did not say that because he had to. He said it to make a point. And Andrew, sitting in Norfolk, receiving his supermarket delivery every week, understands exactly what point was being made. That is why the revenge framing is more complicated than the tabloids are making it. This is not simply a disgraced man lashing out. This is a man who believes he has been executed, politically, socially, financially, by his own family. Whether or not you have sympathy for him, that belief makes him genuinely unpredictable. And unpredictable is the one thing the palace cannot manage. So where does this go? The investigation continues. Andrew remains in Norfolk, living under what sources describe as conditions that barely meet his standard of living, reportedly demanding upgrades to his temporary home that would meet royal standards, still insisting on being treated like royalty even after every symbol of that status has been stripped away. Demands are being sent to the palace. The £558,000 compensation claim sits unanswered. The threats of going nuclear hang in the air. And Charles, who spent 70 years waiting to be king and expected the crown to bring him authority and respect, now has to decide: do you pay a disgraced brother to stay quiet, or do you call his bluff? Both choices are dangerous. Pay him, and you confirm he can extort the palace. Refuse, and you risk him detonating whatever he knows, at whatever time, in whatever way hurts the institution most. And here is the part that should stay with you. Sources say Andrew does not feel this is over. He does not believe he has lost. He believes, and he is apparently saying this plainly to people close to him, that one day the full story will come out. And when it does, the people who abandoned him will wish they had treated him differently. In the British monarchy, that kind of quiet, cold certainty is always more frightening than open rage. We asked at the start of this video what going nuclear means for a man who was once at the heart of the royal family. The answer, it turns out, is whatever he decides it means. Whenever he decides to pull the trigger. No one, not Charles, not William, not Kate, knows exactly what Andrew knows or what he's willing to say. That is the most dangerous thing of all. Watch this space. This is Crown Gaze.